So usually I start off by saying, what's on your mind, what you got today, which is really what this is for. But Brett beat all of you to the punch this morning. So Brett, you had a question. What was your question this morning?
So I have a first listing appointment today.
Okay.
What to expect with the brain, all that kind of things. My first one, but one of the hang up, I did an easy sell with him last night, and we are just chatting. And one of his bigger hangups was Redfin 1.5%. Why would I use anybody else?
Okay. All right, good. So for everybody that's on the Zoom, the situation that Brett ran into is he's got a listing appointment and the person over the phone said, another broker will do it for 1.5%. Why should I pay you twice as much? Is that fair? Would you close that for me, please? So welcome to the rest of your career. Okay. So I find it very interesting that we just had settled a big lawsuit that was over price fixing of commissions and the fact that consumers don't feel like they feel like they have to pay a 6% commission. Like, really? Is that what you ran into last night, Brett? Does a dude feel like he has to pay 6%? No, he doesn't. What the hell are they all talking about? This is every day of your career for the rest of your life. Get used to it. People want to negotiate. They want to pay, see if they can pay less. The guy actually, that's actually a pretty valid question. Why should he pay you twice as much as he has to pay somebody else? I don't have a problem with people that, I mean, do you ever do that in your life? Do you ever like look for a lower cost alternative? Okay. So, when Bob first got into the business, we had a deal. Hey, look, it's okay to get stumped once. It's not okay to get stumped twice. So whenever somebody says something to you, has an objection, and you don't know how to handle it, walk down here and talk to me. So we'll walk down here and talk to me, and now has evolved to this. Whatever you run into in your career where maybe you didn't answer it the a way that you felt really good about, where you didn't have an answer, you didn't know, then that's what we should be talking about every morning. So what should I do? So let's use Brett's example for today. So what should his response be? Can you do it for 1.5? What do y'all think? And on the Zoom too, weigh in. How do you think he should respond to that? Not everybody at once, okay? Let's kind of keep this under control.
Let the seller know what I'll be doing for 3% and what Redfin will be doing for 1.5%. Like, will Redfin be holding open houses? Will they be marketing it across all platforms like what we would? Does it have the scope that it reaches with Redfin, like what Century 21 does?
Okay. So Stephanie says, now this answer, Stephanie, thank you. I'm going to have to slip you a 20 or something for the help. Everything is negotiable and he should be able to speak to his value. But that sounds nice. What the hell does that mean? And I think Claire, you're kind of saying the same way, but you would do it through asking questions, right? This is the kind, so Stephanie says what like corporate training departments say. This is why, if you've noticed, if you ever observed this, Century 21 Online has a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of training. I mean, I don't ever bring it up because they say things like Stephanie said, well, Brett, you just need to be able to speak to your value proposition. And he goes, right, yeah, okay. And he walks out of the room and he goes, I have no idea what that means. Right. It's corporate speak for, we don't really know, but you need to go work on that. So how should he go work on that? What are appropriate responses to, can you do it for less? Because I don't think it's an obnoxious question. I don't think you're a jerk for asking me if I'll do it for less. And if I can't speak to it, then maybe I should do it for less. So how would you guys respond to that? Well, on the Zoom, maybe you can't tell, but it's crickets in here right now. So how would you guys respond to that? Okay, well, some possible responses are, let's just get the easy one out of the way. No. Great, smooth, Mike, spill my coffee. No. No's a acceptable response. No, I won't. I charge 6% or 3%, however, whatever side of it you're talking about. So no, no's a perfectly, no. Any other questions? Okay, so that is a response. What would be another one?
You, excuse me, I'm sick. You you break it down at the 1%. If I take 1%, this is what I give you for 1%. This is what I give you from, whatever percentage you did initially said you were going to take, 3% or 6%. This is what you get the 3% or the 6%. These are the tiers
Okay,
to my offer.
good. So Heather Gale says you could break it down into a menu of services, and at this level, you get this, and at this level, you get this. And that's what Redfin does. Um, uh, a more salesy way of saying it is you provide a limited services agreement. So have you ever wondered how Rhonda Duffy's able to list homes for $500? You ever wonder, like, how does she do that? Well, how is what she does? You see it every day in your life, every day. Um, why are all of you here? I mean, you could leave here and go work somewhere else and pay a lot less, keep more of your commission dollars. You all know that, right?
Yes.
There's, you don't have to be so eager, Heather. Yeah, hell yeah. Well, you could. I mean, there's 1,000 companies in Atlanta that are all cheaper than me. So why aren't you working there? Tracy, you could go over to Fathom. You could. You keep all the money. So what's the problem with that? Why don't you do that?
Because of their services and what I get.
So see, you're all going to have a different answer to that. Everybody has a different answer to that. Yeah, because you're saying what is top of mind, most important to you right off the bat. Well, I could. You should talk to Camille sometime about it. It's hilarious. These agents that are there right now are leaving in droves. Why? Right? They're not selling anything. And they finally realized that all Fathom, or you pick the company. I'm not just picking on them. All they're doing is hold my license. All they did was put a sign in my yard. It's all the same thing. And I want more than just a sign in my yard. Let me pull back the curtain and give you a peek at something. Because you just brought it up because you've got a situation today and you need to know how to handle this. And that's why I said, come to the 9 o'clock, because I can give you the 10-second answer, but I want you to have more than just a 10-second answer, because that won't always work. My little smart ass replies that I have, well, they don't work on y'all. When I say, so Shireen, when you want to, you will. And she'll, well, I couldn't think of anything. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's what people that don't want to say. Any of you ever heard me say that to you? I don't know. That's what 13-year-olds say. See, I got a whole bunch of smart ass little comebacks for you. It doesn't change anything. Shireen doesn't go, oh, thank you for the smart ass comeback. You've solved all my problems now. Now I know exactly what to do. No, I just had a smart ass reply. If you don't understand the underlying issue and what's really going on, you won't ever be able to get to a solution with the customer, because you could say, no, any other questions? And If they accept that, then you got away with it. And if they don't accept it, you're still stuck. So let me pull back the curtain for you for a second and let you see something. In 2011, I started another real estate brokerage and we called it House Connect. And the reason I did that is because coming out of the Great Recession, I started wondering, it was such for, well, almost everybody in the room is old enough to remember 2008, 2009. If you were was anybody in real estate then? Nobody. You were? That was not a fun time to be in real estate because that wasn't an economic crisis. That was a real estate crisis. And that's why it doesn't have anything to do when you hear people talk about that's going to happen again, it can't happen again. That can't happen. And economic problems can happen, but that was the first time in US history home prices nationwide ever went down. That had never happened before. Even during the Great Depression, that had never happened. The Great Depression of the late 30s or early 30s was an economic problem. This wasn't an economic problem. It was a real estate problem. We had been making a decade full of really bad loans, stupid, crazy shit. So in 2011, I thought, maybe the public psyche has changed and maybe I need a hedge. So I started a Rhonda Duffy type company to compete with her. Like it was $500 to list your house. And then it was like a 0.5% at closing. So Brad, how are you going to compete against that? See, that's a problem. Oh, we're going to kill it. I was just running it on the side. We're going to kill it. Let's see. I couldn't shut that business down fast enough. Because in order to do that, you need the customer to sign a limited service agreement, which is what Rhonda does. Basically, it doesn't say all the things they are going to do for you. It says all the things that they are not going to do, and you understand that. There will be no open houses. There will be no advertising. There will be we will call you if we get an offer on your home. There will be no weekly updates. They're basically, just to shortcut it, there's no customer service going on here at all. Don't call us, we'll call you. You get a sign in the yard and you get it in the MLS system, and that is all you get. Fathom would say to you, if they were talking to you directly, or any of these other cheapy companies, we will hold your license, Tracy. That is it. Anybody worked at one of those companies? You have? Virtual Properties. What did they do for you? They held your license. Right. They don't care. They're just now you have to hold a lot of real estate licenses in order to make the economics of that work. But it was a limited service agreement. Did you think they were going to do other stuff for you? Had they ever told you that they were going to? No, we don't do shit. Now they don't say it like that. They like to polish it up a little bit, but basically it's a limited service agreement. We're not going to do anything for you. Okay. If you need that, don't come here. We're just going to put a sign in your yard. Don't call us. We'll call you, maybe. Here was the problem with it. You couldn't get back to your office before the homeowner was calling saying, now tell me again when the open house is going to be. I'm like, no open houses. You signed a limited service. Remember, you said, oh no, we need an open house. They wanted the discount fee and they wanted the full service. And if it had been the early 90s, I would have told them to go do something unnatural to themselves. Except in 2011, you can't say that to consumers anymore, or they'll do what? Huh? record me. Oh, okay, they could do that. But what's the power that a consumer has over you right now? And hey, on the Zoom, y'all weigh in too. What's the power that a consumer has over you today? Uh-huh. You want to do something interesting today? Go Google Duffy Realty and you will be shocked. Thousands of not just negative reviews, I mean bad. And it's not fair. It's not fair to Rhonda. I mean, I'm no big fan of Rhonda, but it's not fair because all these people signed a limited service agreement saying that they understood you weren't going to do anything for $500. And then as soon as you left their driveway, started expecting you to do things. So how do you deal with commission objection? Well, you've got to understand that. And you've got to understand why you get paid 3%.
So I've come up against this before, when I first started doing listing appointments, and I actually used something that Mike told us. It's just a little one-liner where he said, my job is to make your front door fall off. And if you were to list with Redford or whoever, then I don't believe that would happen. And here's why. And then I would give a list of everything that I would do to make that front door fall off.
Okay. So on the Zoom, I don't know if you can hear, but I'm going to rephrase it because I don't want you to tell them that. I want it to be more something like this, where you ask your way there. Okay. So Claire, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What do you think my job is?
So.
Yeah. See, I don't. I don't think my job's to sell your house. I think that's the result of me doing my job. I think my job is to make the front door of your house fall off, is to create as much exposure as possible, really just to wear out the front door. And can you see where by creating the most exposure possible, it would cause your house to sell and for the most money possible? Without the exposure, you're not likely to get the same result. Is that fair? Okay. And see, I've got to ask her because it's not true until she says it's true. It's not true because I said it. So I can't tell her, or this is like Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, wah, wah. It's like your kids. They ain't listening. It's like your husband. They ain't listening. Wah, wah, wah. She's got to say it, or she's got to at least agree. Once she's agreed, that's the truth. Okay. So it's about exposure, right? Okay, great. Now, that's the underlying thing, right? So am I going to give a value proposition? I am, but I'm not going to call it that. And I'm definitely not going to say that stuff to her. Well, let me talk to you about my value proposition as her eyeballs roll back in her head. So what do? Well, you ask your way there. So one way of dealing with it is I might be able to do it for 1.5%, Claire. Is that important to you? Okay. So let me ask you, what's the most important thing to you? What you pay or what you get?
What I get.
What you get. Right. So what's important is that we net you the most money possible at closing, right?
Yeah.
Do you really care how you get to that number?
Really?
Like if somebody wanted $5,000 in closing costs paid, but they were willing to pay $5,000 more for the house, do you care?
No.
As long as you get what you need, right? So can we focus on that? Okay, great. Now, could I do it for 1.5%? I can. I call that my bronze program. I have 3 different programs. That's my bronze program. We could do that. I typically wouldn't do that for a house like yours. I mean, it's a pretty nice house. You're looking to get top dollar. I haven't heard you say that you're in a giant hurry, like you need to sell it this week. You don't.
No.
So you're not willing to price it bare bones just to get it sold quickly? Right. So we would use the bronze program for people that are in that situation, like they're facing foreclosure or they have to move for some reason. And they just got to get rid of the house and they got to get rid of the house this week. Just buy or sell it and get it out of here.
Wow.
Well, we don't have to do as much for them. We just have to get the price down and sell it this weekend. But that's not you. Okay, good. And with a house like this, good, that's good to hear. Now, my silver program, it's a pretty traditional program, but it gets you a full marketing effort. The one I want to talk to you about is my platinum program. Okay.
That one that costs the most.
Well, it does, but it's the one that gets you the most. So let me go through it with you if you have just a minute before you throw me out of the house, okay? And these are options, and you tell me which option works the best for you, okay?
Okay.
The platinum program, I'm actually going to encourage you to list the house at 8%, but I don't get more. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to list it at 8% and we're going to offer 5% to the buyer's broker. If they bring us an acceptable offer by a certain date. Okay.
Mhm.
And if they don't, then they don't get the extra.
Okay.
So
When you say it's 6% then?
I'll just keep my typical 3% and give you the full marketing effort that you would get with the silver program. And that extra 2%, we're going to offer it as a bonus to the buyer's broker. If they bring us an acceptable offer, and you get to decide what an acceptable offer is by our desirable date.
That falls into that offer, right? So I'm not coming out of pocket.
Sure, that's what I do.
Mhm.
Right. Now, can you see how that would increase interest and activity in your house?
I'm sure the buyers would be rolling in.
Yeah. Can you see where the other agents would have a vital interest in showing your house?
Yes.
I mean, isn't that what we want? We want to turn the other agents into advocates for us. You know, they're not.
No. Either side, right?
Like when I work with home buyers, I don't care what house they buy. It doesn't matter to me. I just want them to get the house they want. Unless, there's people that have done that in the Atlanta market. Um, Jim Cowart, one of the most popular builder developers in the Atlanta market. That's what he's done for years. John Weiland, you ever heard of John Weiland? John Weiland developed a great reputation and became one of the largest developers in the Atlanta market. And he had this gigantic end of year party. And the more homes you sold of his, the more prizes you won. Like I won a mink coat for my mom. I wasn't married at the time. I saw agents win trips to Europe. Why would he do that? Incentives. Do you think that it worked? Do you think agents, I can't get somebody to buy a house they don't like, right? Could I get you and your husband to buy a house you didn't want?
No.
Of course I can. But I can make you aware of them. I can speak highly of them. I could be an advocate for John Weiland Homes, couldn't I? And that's really all we really want, isn't it? People to want to show your home and to be an advocate for it. This looks like a great house.
Yeah, that's
Why
true.
would I do that? I have an incentive.
Mhm.
And I think that's human nature. What do you think? Okay, now it's true. So Claire, you tell me which way would work best for you? The bronze program, the silver program, or the platinum program?
I think I'm comfortable with the platinum program.
I've never had anybody do that. Ever, not one time. You know what they all say? Yeah, I'll go with the silver. I mean, I hear you, but I'm not doing that. That's crazy talk. And I'd say, okay, but look, if they don't bring us an acceptable offer and we just revert back to the silver program with them, what did you lose?
Like, where do you put that? Well, now.
So what I would have little certificates made up. You just make them up on your computer. And it's just that bronze program is a limited service agreement. And I just sign this, sign this bronze certificate. Well, what would you do with that? I wouldn't do anything with it. I'd stick it in a file somewhere and move on down the road. I've got it if I ever need it one day, but you don't turn that in with your listing. Christina will come over to you and go, what the hell is this? We don't need this. Don't put this in there. And y'all jump in too. But you could draw up, Brett, before you go to your listing appointment today, draw up a bronze certificate, a silver certificate, and a platinum certificate. And you can make it say whatever you want it to say, and then have little signature lines at the bottom. This is what we did with the limited service agreement. Oh, no, you're signing that. It didn't matter because within an hour they were all saying, oh, no, 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 I want you to do everything. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that. And you agree to that. And they'd say, well, if you don't, I'm going to post negative reviews about you. Shit, I own a residential real estate company. You can't do that. Because everybody, you know, these people you're going to meet with today, Brett, they're Googling you right now. They're checking you out online. This is why your online presence needs to make them want to do business with you. That's why we have a marketing department. That's why Rob wants to, one of the only first fundamental things he wants to talk about is what's your Google My Business presence look like? And it's changing. Because what do you think of businesses that you go to online that don't have a presence or it's not very impressive? What do you think? Like you're going to go to a restaurant this weekend and they don't even have a website. You can't see their menu. You can't, I mean, do you believe reviews that you see online? No, as a matter of fact, it's actually good to have a negative review or two in there. Right. Like if all my reviews were positive, I might actually plant a bad one. Not crazy, but you know, if I'm looking at a restaurant and there's a review in there that says service was slow tonight, I go, well, that happens sometimes. People don't show up to work. I mean, I give people, now, if you say a rat ran across your foot while you were having dinner, I'm not going there. Right. But I get where, I mean, none of us are perfect. You're going to have an off day or two. Right. Let's see what our Zoomers are saying. Yeah. That's one way of handling with my bronze, silver, and platinum. Uh, what I really don't want to do is start. So if you were on the phone with me, so say it to me like he said it to you. Okay. Have you seen his house yet? You were there yesterday. Okay, great. And you're going back? Okay. So what he said, the customer said is, why, if I've got somebody else willing to only charge 1.5%, why would I pay more? Is that fair? That's a great question. And I might be able to do that. Why don't we explore that when we get together tomorrow afternoon? Would that be okay? I'm not doing that over the telephone. I'm not doing that over the telephone. I'm not talking about the list price of their house, and I'm not talking about my commission rate over the telephone. That's a great question. Let's be sure to talk about that tomorrow when I see you, okay? Call car dealerships today and tell them that you want to buy a blue Honda Accord 2024 with this color interior, because you know they're all the same after that, and see if they'll give you a price over the telephone.
Hmm.
You ain't getting a price over the telephone. Why? Don't they know what the price is? Uh-huh. Why won't they tell you?
They need to look at it to feel it.
Haul your cookies over to our dealership and spend an hour walking around where our salesman can relationship sell you for an hour, become your buddy, and you like him and you feel comfortable with him. And then we can talk about price. We ain't doing it over the phone because you're just going to hang up and you're just going to keep calling until the person says the lowest thing to you, and that's who you're going to go with. But we don't think that's really what you want. And cars are a commodity. That's the difference. Every time somebody uses cars or refrigerators or TVs, as an analogy against real estate. Well, there's a problem with that analogy. And the problem is this: a blue Honda Accord is a blue Honda Accord. And I don't give a damn where you buy it from. It's the same car, right? There aren't a lot of variances. Once you know what options you want on the car and what color, I mean, when we bought Jane's car, it was just about what color do you want? Right. It's not. Well, houses aren't like that. Well, developers, yeah, you get a big neighborhood going on and like a medium price range. They got like 4 to 6 different floor plans. They call them elevations, right? And they just repeat them. They try not to put two side by side, so they make a little diversity look in the neighborhood. But there's only 4 to 6 different plans in here. It's just a matter of which plan you bought. And they name the plans. And then when you meet other neighbors and they, oh, you got the Franklin. Yeah, I've got the Franklin. Yeah, we've got a Franklin too, which means the exterior color might be different, but it's the same damn house inside. Yeah, but the backyards aren't the same. Right? Right. Houses are all different. You want to own the house next to the neighborhood pool? You don't. Even you don't with a 3-year-old, you don't? Too noisy. Right. This is why, okay, so I live this and it helps like when you can tell stories with people. That's why I tell you all my stories. People think I do it just, I'm not trying to bore you. I can bore you, but I'm not, what I'm trying to do is give you my stories, and we all work at the same brokerage in case you haven't noticed. And to the Georgia Real Estate Commission, that means you do not exist. You, Claire Williams, they don't give a shit about Claire Williams. I am responsible for everything. So it's like being married. If it happened to me, it's now your story too. So when I tell you stories, I just hope you change the dates and the names, but it's now yours because people relate with that. Jane and I, when we were looking for the house we're in right now, we go to see this house. And we know we're about, like I said to her while we're driving over there, are we ready? Because we're going to love this. And she goes, we are. She's already bought it. In her head, she's already moving in. And as soon as we turned down the street, I knew what the problem was. Can you guess? Okay, Zoomers. The house is at the end of a cul-de-sac. We're driving down the street and we're going to go drive straight right into the driveway. And I'm telling you, all the way up to the right edge of that driveway was a graveyard. Headstones were that far off my driveway. There were no pictures of that in the listing. My wife got so mad at that listing agent. And I just thought, I actually called the listing agent from inside the house and said, I just want to compliment you. You did a great job. And she was shocked. She's like, really? And I'm like, awesome. I'm the most skeptical person on the planet, and you got me to come look at this house. My Jane was so mad. She tricked us. She lied to us. She didn't do any of that. She just didn't put that picture in the listing. What's her job? Get us to come look at the house. The agent did her job. That's why I called her and told her, you did a great job, honey. And she laughed. She's like, do you think I should put pictures on? Absolutely not. That is not your job to give a full disclosure of the house. That's not your job. Your job's to market the house. Do you think Rhonda Duffy would have done that? Do you think Redfin would do that? So do you know how Redfin agents get paid? See, Redfin doesn't have a big footprint here. So Christina used to work for Redfin in California. Notice that I said used to. You used to work for virtual properties. Used to. Notice they're not there anymore. If it's so freaking awesome, why are you here? Right. So Redfin agents just get a small salary, like $20,000 to $30,000 a year. They'll make you money. You want to do that? I'll do that. You want to do that? I'll give you $30,000 a year. Then you get bonuses, like if you sell a $500,000 house, you get like $700. But you got a salary.
No.
So imagine who does that. So would I tell the homeowner that? I would. But see, you have to understand it. It depends. Well, which way would you go with the homeowner? I don't know. Depends on the homeowner. Depends on if they're conversational or not. Do they like to just sit and have a cup of coffee and tell stories? I would actually do this. Hey, do you ever wonder how they can do that? How they can charge half of what we charge? Did you ever wonder? No? Yes, you do? Yeah, I wonder too. Because if that works so great, so here's another answer for you. If that works so great, Brett, why would I still be in business? Why would Century 21 be the largest real estate company on the planet? Wouldn't everybody be listing their home with Redfin? I mean, if it works so great, and Rhonda Duffy's cheaper than them, if it works so great, wouldn't everybody just list their house with Rhonda Duffy? Do you ever wonder why they don't? I mean, are there just millions of people that are that stupid? Could it be that it doesn't actually work that well? I mean, if virtual properties was so awesome, Miguel, then what the hell are you doing here? How about you? You people at home in bed. If it works so great, then why does anybody else exist? Wouldn't everybody list their home with Redfin? Uh-huh. So no, there's not. No. Well, if I open up Satan Realty LLC, I probably would get some. Maybe you're right. He said there's some for. So see what I'm doing is I'm kind of telling you a story and asking you. If I don't, you're going to get disconnected. Now, how many times do you think I've told these stories? Has anybody ever sat in my office and I actually tell you a story I've told you 3 other times? Yes. Well, I have, and the reason would be, yeah, stop laughing at home. Uh, Partly it's that I don't remember that I told you before. Partly it's that I think you weren't listening the first 10 times I told you. And partly that's just my shtick. If you find stuff that works and you will adapt your ways, but like I can do it backwards and forwards, inside and out. I can't. Why? Because once it's a valid tool and I practice it. So if I was you, before I go to that appointment this afternoon, that's what I'd be working on. Now, you brought up one other thing that I wanted. Have I answered your question about how to handle? Okay, that's not enough. So you want a repertoire because you're going to run into all kinds of different people in your career. And one way of answering something, it'll work sometimes, and sometimes it won't. And you go, okay, well, I'm gonna have to regroup and come at this from another angle. So it could be no, it could be, well, what is it that you want? Do you care what you pay or do you care what you get? Right? And that is actually paradigm shifting for a lot of people because they think that what they are willing to pay and what they get are intimately connected. And that's why I just go to the closing cost line. Well, Betsy, do you care if somebody needs you to pay $5,000 worth of closing cost and they're willing to build it into their price? Do you care? As long as you get what you want? Right. You know, real estate commissions are kind of the same way. Can we just focus on what you get and the best way to get that? And what's the best way to get that? Exposure. Uh-huh. It's why for sale by owners have such a terrible time It's not that they don't have a great house. It's not that they're not smart enough to navigate the transaction all on their own. It's not that we're smarter than they are. Nobody knows their house is for sale. And I'd hate to see that happen to you. So time and money are a factor of exposure. So it's just another shtick. You want what's more important to you, how long it takes or how much money you get. Okay, good. Then that's exposure. If you said you were facing foreclosure on the first Tuesday in May, then it would be time, right? Okay, then price goes down. So we cut your price and we fire sale it and we get it sold today, right? And that might be a sharp discount. So see how price and time work together? Okay, that's a shtick. Which one should you use? I don't know. It depends on who you're talking to. Well, how will I know? You won't. We call these soft skills. You're going to feel it. And to the degree that you get it right, you'll win. And when you get it wrong, and you will, you'll get it wrong, you'll screw up and you'll lose. So get it right. How will you know? You won't know. You're going to guess. Claire, when you met your husband, how did he know it was okay to kiss you? You told him to? Okay. But usually you just kind of have to know, right? Yeah, that's called soft skills, your intuition, your people reading. And if you get it wrong, you're going to get your face slapped. Now, your listing appointment, you should have a listing presentation. And this, to go to Stephanie speak, is your value proposition. Your listing presentation should have a little thing about you. Nobody gives a shit, but it still should. And it should have a little bit about us, the company that you're affiliated with. And it should have your marketing plan of action. Okay. And I mean, you're with Century 21. I would try to have it be a 21 plan state. See how cute that is. David McGee has like an 87-point marketing plan of action. And all he done is break everything down into multiple components. List your home in FMLS. Point number 2, list your home in Georgia. I'm like, well, you could just make that one point. No, I want as many points as possible. You got to be careful with this. He who promises the most gets the listing. So I say this, you do want a listing present. Would I have comparables in there? I would not put the price, my recommended price on there. I would never tell them what I think they ought to list their home. Like you'll have to point a gun at my head to get me to give you a price. Because the minute I say the price, you judge me. Right? That's it. That's all they want to hear. So I say you do want to have a listing presentation. And our marketing team, that's what they're working on right now, is building out really nice, polished looking listing present and buyer presentations that I hope you never use. I hope you never use them. I want you to have it, and I want you to set it down next to you at the kitchen table and keep like one hand on it. And if you hope that you never have to open it. If you have to use it, you're in trouble. You either didn't handle this correctly or you've got an analytical personality. You've got an engineer. You fucking engineers. So what they want to do, this is like 10% of the population. So it's not a lot, but they do exist. And if you sit down with them, he's going to have a spreadsheet that he's built for this, and he's interviewing 6 agents, and whichever agent has the most shit on his spreadsheet, that's who gets the listing. You probably can't win that game. You probably can't. So you hope that what you really want to do is you just want to sit down and do just what I've done with you this morning and just talk to them. So Brett, you want to sell the house. So where to next? Okay, you're a terrible bullshitter. Claire, so you're thinking about selling the house? Oh, awesome. Where to next?
I'm just gonna stay in the area.
Oh, okay, just in a different house.
It's a different house, but it's in school district.
Okay, great. Now, we're just gonna chat. And this is 90% of the population. Have you ever sold a house before?
No, that was the first time one buyer.
This will be your first experience selling a house. Okay, buckle up. Here
Oh,
we
yeah.
go. I got you. So I just want to talk to her. I want about her. Do I think she wants to know anything about me? No, she doesn't. 90% of the population doesn't, they don't, they don't want to, they don't want to talk about you at all. This is the biggest thing going on in her life. And if it's not, if you detect that this is not the biggest thing going on in her life, I want to start asking lots of questions because that's weird. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Buying and selling a house is a major life event. There could be something else going on that's bigger, like you're getting married and planning a 500-person wedding. Okay, that's bigger, but that's not usual. You just want to buy another house? No, this is the big guaranteed. I don't need to know anything else. This is the biggest thing going on in her life. And if it's not, I'm just stopping because she's not telling me the truth. And liars are like alcoholics. There's no dealing with them. You can't deal with them. You don't even try. So I got to get her to tell me what she doesn't want to tell me. And then I'm just going to ask her questions. Where are you going next? When do you want to be there? Have you ever done this before? What's important to you about this? And some people aren't going to say money. She might say low hassle. Okay. Uh, she might say money. She might say time. I mean, it all depends on what's going on in her life. Great. And I'm just want to share values with her. Watch. Brett, this is really important for you this afternoon in your appointment. Everybody on the planet is in a struggle for significance. You are, everybody else is. One of your most basic human needs is you want to feel like you matter. Claire, you want to feel important to your husband. Uh-huh. Look, guys, so I did this morning. I'm late. I know it's raining. I know traffic's going to be bad. And Jane wants me to pay attention to something she's saying. And I'm like, I gotta go. Like, you and the dog, get the fuck out of my way. I gotta get out of here. I gotta go. I'm behind. And as soon as I get in the car to pull out of the driveway, I'm like, the one thing your wife needs from you is to feel like she's important and matters to you. Why is that the one thing that's so hard to do? Because I have significant issues too. And all I want to do is think about me. 9 out of 10 homeowners do not want you to talk about you. And we drive them crazy, bore them to tears doing that. And we want to go in and give our presentation. And all Claire wants to do is talk about what's going on in her life. And if I could, and for some reason we can't, but if I could just focus on her, and this doesn't need to have anything to do with me at all, honey. Tell me about you. Tell me about your life. Tell me what's going on. Tell me why that's important to you. Share your hopes, dreams, and desires with me. I will become so irresistible to her, she will leave her husband and run off with me.
That's true.
But for whatever screwed up reason, we can't do that. We've got to go in and make it about us because we want to feel significant too. So I'm going to give you my presentation. And this is a chance for me to talk for an hour about me. And if you let me, I'll make it take 2 hours because I don't get to talk about me for 2 hours very often. Think about your birthday. And what's this got to do with his original question on how do I deal with commission objection? It has everything to do with it. Has everything to do with it. Think about your birthday. Now, lots of people would say, oh, no, no. How many people nod your head? Yes, if you're like that. I don't pay attention to my birthday. My birthdays aren't that info. I don't want anybody to make a big deal out of me on my birthday. Bullshit. If nobody acknowledged your birthday at all, you went through the whole day, you'd feel very, very sad and lonely. You would. You might say that you don't want a big deal to be made out of your birthday, but you do. Claire, it's your wedding anniversary and your husband says nothing the whole day. He did.
Yeah.
He did.
We'd be getting it.
Yeah, you want to feel, we all do. We're all in a struggle for significance. Your ability to make other people feel significant is a huge skill. Huge, the biggest skill you could ever develop. And Brett, if you can make them feel significant, heard, listened to, they back off that commission objection. They only have it as an intellectual exercise. They want, if they like you and they want you to be their agent, they won't object so much, or they'll give in. That's why the car dealerships want you to come onto the lot. And that's why the car salespeople are all the same. You know, the guy with his teeth are just a little too white, his hair is just a little too combed. And his job, he's been gone through lots and lots of classes on how to become your best friend in 30 minutes. Well, that's very easy. I don't need, it's not a 30-minute class. It's a 10-second class. Pay attention to the other person. Try it. Okay, here's your homework assignment for today. And I want you at 7 o'clock tonight, I want everybody to send me an email and tell me how they did today. From now, which is 9:50 a.m. till 7 p.m. tonight, you can't talk about you at all. Not one time. Not at all. The rest of today, in every interaction you come in with, all you can do is pay attention to the other people. And I want to see who can do it. And my bet is nobody can. You can't go one day of focusing all of your attention on other people without calling the spotlight onto you. Shereen, I don't give you 30 seconds. You can't get back to your cue. Kaya, you're dead. It ain't happening. Try it. And then reflect on it. Like, what does that say about me that I can't go 12 hours without drawing attention to myself? Why do I have to make everything about me? Why is that? Because you have a struggle for significance too. Everybody does. It's a basic human emotion. But in sales, it pays dividends to recognize that and to do something about it. Okay? So we got people already lost that bet. I'm out. It's like that Seinfeld episode where they had that bet. You know what I'm talking about? I'm out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, even I can't talk about it. So let's go to work.